So you have to try to put it. If it really it's a possibility, but you want to really tile the floor, right? So you want to have a certain number of pentagons, certain number of decagons, and want to tile the floor. When you want to tile the floor, you should not leave any gaps and so on. Yeah. So Kepler tried to put these together. Yeah. So no, previous slide. Yeah. So he tried. So as you would see here, you have a decagon and you have two pentagons. You put it here. This is fine. After you put it here, you try to do tiling, but then there is a gap here. There is a square here. I mean, this one here, and sometimes these two decagons also will overlap, and so on. Yeah. So he tried several patterns. Actually, in his book called Harmonis Mundis, I think. Yeah, I mean harmonic world. I think it's what it means in Spanish or whatever, Latin. So that he tried several patterns. He couldn't tile. Okay, so well, you couldn't do it. Yeah, actually, you can actually show arithmetically or whatever with a nice logic that if you have a regular pentagon, among your collection of regular polygons, you cannot really tile the Euclidean plane at all. Yeah, you can prove it. Yeah, it's actually, when some of the things that I tell you, you can think about it. And so yeah, it's nice to think about it, and now that you could put your Google search to a better use and see why it's not possible. After you have thought quite a bit, then you find an answer, then you will appreciate it. Yeah. So I would rather like you to do that. Yeah. So this is the problem. But this is a nice picture. That's why I wanted to show. And another thing I want to say is that in research, research meaning when you want to become a mathematician or something. So what happens is that you will always be stuck with problems. It's very, very rare that you find solutions. When you find solutions, you're happy. Okay? Not only just happy, you're ecstatic. So a failure doesn't really mean it's a failure. Because failure may not be, it may not give you it may not be sort of what it means that you may not be able to understand why it is failing. Okay, so you keep that. The thing with research, honest, intense, sincere research is that a failure also stays in your mind just as success stays. So over time as you work, sometimes something else happens, then you say because it has stayed in your mind, you can connect up two things. And it could be the same person or it could be a generation of people. Okay, so in this case I am just talking about a generation of people. Kepler tried this, fine. It's a nice picture, people can appreciate. You can make a nice window of this shape or whatever, grill or something like that. I think it's nice, yeah. In fact, some of the Muslim architectures, by the way, have this kind of thing, yeah. I did see that. I mean, not exactly this one. If I saw exactly this one, I would have taken a picture. I saw hexagons and so on in Kashmir recently. But I mean, you have this kind of nice things here. So I'll come back to this, by the way. The reason why I said failure is because, but this pattern was beautiful. It motivated or inspired someone to come up with a very beautiful kind of tiling. I'll come back to it later. I don't want to sort of, I want to keep the suspense, yes. Yeah, next. Okay. So now, the next problem is, regular polygons we have understood. Using regular polygons, Not everyone wants, regular polygon for some people that may be good. For some people, why regular polygon? People can ask a lot of questions for sure. Okay. So I like a particular triangle, let's say an isosceles triangle, let's say I like it, I want to tile. So if you ask the question, if I can use any triangle, can I tile? Yeah, it's possible. The answer is very simple. You can think about it. I'll immediately kind of give you the answer. Any triangle, by the way. Any triangle. The side lengths could be different. The angles could be different. If I have hundreds of those triangles that I like, I can tile the floor without leaving any gaps and overlapping. The solution is very simple. What you do is you take any two of those triangles, and say one of the sides I take, that side is repeated on the other one, so I just invert it like that and put it. So what I get is a parallelogram. You can get a parallelogram. And once you have a parallelogram, you know how to tile it. Right? Rhombuses and so on, you can tile. You just put the parallelograms together, and I'll show you a picture later how to use parallelograms to tile. So any triangle, you can create a parallelogram and you can tile. Okay. So triangle we have understood. So let's go to 4, quadrilateral. So quadrilateral we have seen squares, and rectangles also we see, right? I mean, we see the tilings with rectangles. So how about irregular quadrilaterals? Side lengths and so on different. So let's just confine ourselves to convex quadrilaterals. Yeah, when I say convex polygons, what I mean by convex is that given any 2 points, when I draw in a straight line, it should fall within the tile actually, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's just a simple constraint. It's not a serious constraint. So I take any quadrilateral of any shape. I have made hundreds of them. I want to tile the floor. I can do that. Yeah, I have just given one particular example. You could do it. What works out, I'll tell you why. So any convex quadrilateral you take, the sum of the interior angles is 360, and that is what comes to use here. So at a corner, since you want to make 360, you arrange 4 of your quadrilaterals in such a way that at a corner all the 4 angles meet. So here, for instance, I have named A, B, C, D here. For instance, here all the 4 angles come here. Since I know that 360, I come here. So which means this particular pattern, let's say, this particular pattern, 4 of these put together, you can tile. Yeah? Okay? That's the next slide. So any quadrilateral you can do that, yeah. So I just thought I'll just show you inspired art, yeah. This Dutch artist called Escher, M.C. Escher. I'm sure all of you have heard of his great works. So he used tessellation to create nice art. Okay. So for instance, this is what I meant by parallelogram. Yeah, any parallelogram you can tile. So he just used that and see. Okay, I mean, somehow he imagined combination of parallelograms. He could just try to put this bird and the fish pattern, and somehow he brings it here. He very carefully worked. It's a nice art. Yeah. Next one. Yeah. Okay. So from 4 we have understood, right? Any convex quadrilateral, irregular quadrilateral, I can tessellate, tile the plane. Tessellation and tiling are the same, yeah? So now I should have actually gone to 5, but I have gone to 6, yeah? Okay, 5 somehow seems to be creating some problem. We will see what it is, yeah? So let's come to 6. So we have already seen regular hexagons, but again, if you want to work with irregular hexagons, okay, unlike squares and triangles, I cannot work with any irregular hexagon for tiling. For tessellation, because the angle sum now is 12 into 6, so 720. So okay, so it's, you have to sort of, to meet the criterion of around a point 360, you require, you have to, I mean, the hexagons will have to satisfy certain criterion. Okay. As far as back as 1918, about 100 years ago, a student of Hilbert, David Hilbert, his name is K. Reinhardt, he actually, it's a simple arithmetic perhaps. I haven't seen a proof of it, by the way. I'm trying to see a proof of it, but I think it should be simpler. Some of you can actually try and see it. He classified what kind of hexagons can tile. The types have to be either, like something like he has given this particular thing here, certain angles, some angle and side criterions. If they meet those criterions, only you can tile. For instance, regular hexagon satisfies all the 3 criterions. Okay. But if hexagon satisfies one of the 3 criterions types, it has to tile. Not only that, any hexagon which tiles, irregular hexagon which tiles, has to fall into one of these 3 types. So he completely classified that. Only 3 types of hexagons can tile the plane. So if so you have to be careful now when you give your mason or somebody to make tiles, when you give this specification, make sure that, well, it has to be, if the guy makes some mistakes, then you cannot tessellate. All your 100 tiles will go waste. Okay, so this one has to be careful. Okay, but the criterions, only these 3 criteria. This is a theorem.